good kind of thing for me to do is just like keep doing the doggies, um, which I'm like at a level at, you know, like at least the golden retrievers are like kind of like that's kind of okay for what it is. Keep doing the doggies, start up with the cats, start up with the birds, and then slowly get more and more. Because I'd love to be in a position. I'd love to be in a position where I can like kind of more or less like sketch out a if I could be in a situation where I could kind of more or less just like sketch out any like most of kind of your main animals, it would be it would be really cool if like during these times people can just be like I'd love to be just drawing like personas for people. I think that would be sick. I think like doing that would be like super 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 fun. I'm just like not there yet. Do you know what I mean? Like I the people who were here for like the first few, like and those ones I was very much just like give me requests, tell me stuff to draw, you know, like what should I draw next? Yada yada yada. Um I just don't think I'm like, as I said, super there yet. So I think it's better at the moment. I just kind of like low key, like focus on those and whatever, and then kind of like build up and build up and build up and whatever. Oh, I got a message here from Furry Dog. Hey Rex the Dog, I saw your Instagram post. Remember, the good friends never fade away. God bless all the creatures. Let's go. Nice message. Whatever you don't read the first words in, if it were French. I don't know if you know French, so please. Yeah, I don't know French. I don't know French. I studied some French at school. I mean, Val knows this, and some of the other British people who stop by here. Like, it's one of the languages that they like. It's like the language when you're in like school in the UK. It's like the you know they call it MFL, modern formal language. It's like the one that they really like you know push and whatever. So when you're in school in the UK, you study like French or sometimes it's like German. But now there's more and more Spanish that goes on. But it used to be just like French, 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 French. When I went, it was French, and I studied French when I was like, when did I start that? I must have been uh, maybe like 12 or whatever. I think that's right. Maybe a little bit younger. I think 12. I think 12 is when I started studying French at school. And then I switched to German. I had the opportunity to do German when I was like 14. I think. I think that's where the maths is mathing. Um, and then I switched to German, and then I learned Spanish because like I went to Spain, so I learned that just by whatever. Oh, dude, yeah, yeah, no, Avian, it is kind of weird. It is kind of weird because like people don't like there is that like that reputation of what you're saying of like British people like talking bad about the French. Like that's a thing. That is like a thing. Um, as a thing. You got the last art piece. Let's go, Val. So now it's just what like fishies. Is it just fishies now? It's just looking for fishies. Um, no, but Jerry, I wanted doing human portraits as well. The sake of two, because like I love comic books. Like I love just like comic books. Um, and Flippy, hello, we're over here as well. um, I love comic books and stuff like that. So just like drawing, like you know, drawing Peter Parkers and whatever, or Peter Porkers, you know, like all that sort of stuff. Like I feel that's like a total vibe as well. I think that's like a total vibe as well. Which is cool. Which is cool. Which is cool. But I've been enjoying. I've been getting back into comics recently, and I've been like, I don't know. There's been some stuff that's like I have been I have been vibing with. There has been some comics that I have been vibing with. I think I've talked about these a few times before, like the absolute books, the absolute Wonder Woman, the absolute Batman. I think is really cool. Um, I've been liking the Ultimate Spider-Man. I've been liking Geiger. There's been a few books which I've been liking, which is cool. But I do think also, like Charlie, what you're saying here about kind of dabbling harder on the art skills is like when I'm like reading comic books now. The way I was reading comic books before, okay, because obviously I've read loads and loads of comic books across my life. My dad had a comic book store. I've read like blah blah blah, tens of thousands of comic books, right? Tens of thousands of comic books. That's not an exaggeration. I've read like tens of thousands of comic books. I've always really been looking at them from like kind of like a script standpoint or filmmaking standpoint. Like I've more been looking at like the framing of the panels, which obviously is like a whole skill in its place itself as well. Of like how the artist is chose to chose to frame them. Do you know what I mean? It's chose to frame the comic book, the panel, I should say rather. But now I'm not just looking at that. I'm also looking at the decisions of like more things about like, oh, what's the inker doing here and what they're drawing or whatever. What do I read comics on? When it's the digital stuff, like I usually go on like Comixology, or I'll like dip in and out of like Marvel Unlimited subscriptions or whatever for like the books from over there. And then the stuff that I'll just get I'm not really buying a lot. I'm not really buying floppies anymore. I'm not really buying like single issues or floppies anymore. But the stuff that I'll get in like like wait for the trade paperback or whatever. But they're like for me as well. I've always advocated for profit. Hello there. Hello 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 hello. I've always advocated and talked about the benefits of reading comic books or reading manga for the what am I trying to say here? For language learning. So reading stuff in Spanish as well is just like because you get so much like because I always say when reading another language, when you're trying to learn another language or whatever, stopping to look words up in the dictionary or whatever is just like I don't feel it's the way to do it. And I think there's also a lot of kind of like literature and whatever to say that's not necessarily the way to do it either. You don't think the Twitch chats are showing up? Let me check, man. They might not be because I don't think it's like super active at the moment. Oh. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Thank you. You're right. It says I need to reauthorize it. Okay. Thanks for saying that, Jerry. I'm gonna double check something. Oh, you're ahead of me, Val. You're ahead of me. Yeah. Cool. Cool. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. I appreciate you for saying that. A lot. I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, I've always talked about like I don't think when you're trying to learn something in another language, I don't think it's a great idea to like be reading and then stop, look up a word, and then stop, look up a word, or whatever. But when you're reading a comic book or something like that, you pick up so much context from like the images and the framing and the flow of the story and whatever. and you have time to read it slowly at your own pace, it's super useful. It's super useful, and you learn so much just by context or whatever. And for me, it's like learning languages or whatever. I know this has turned from like where do you read comics to learning a language now, but like I always think about how like like kids or whatever learn and stuff like that, and they learn from they learn from just like context of the situation and stuff like that. Like not every single word you go to a kid and go like this means this means this means that, or whatever, you know. But I would say for now for reading like digital comic books and stuff like that, there's like loads of places you can do it, and they're becoming like more and more affordable. Like the big comic companies like Marvel and like DC have their own apps like Unlimited or whatever. And then you got stuff like Comixology. I do look very anime, don't I? I look very anime, very like chibi, right? It's like Chibi Rex. I look like very chibi. So this is like anime me. This is like I'm very like Astro Boy. I'm very like Astro Boy, or I'm very much like the Wachowski classic Speed Racer. What an excellent movie! What an excellent movie Speed Racer is. If you haven't seen Speed Racer, and you want to just sit down and watch a live action cartoon, get yourself watching some Speed Racer. Speed Racer is wonderful. Speed Racer is so wonderful. It's such a wonderful movie. Such a wonderful movie. Very kawaii, exactly. Very kawaii, dude. Kawaii. I think kawaii like was potentially. I think kawaii was potentially one of the first Japanese words I learned. Like I really, really think so. I really, really think so. We are doing good over here, Spiny Pines. We are doing good. Like obviously outside of like probably the first, I probably sayonara is the first word I learned. You know, like I think this was once I just picked up from like osmosis, from just like existing. So like sayonara, konnichiwa, maybe hi, maybe yatta, as I remember that in Heroes. Um, and then I think kawaii. I think kawaii was the. Oh no, I learned otaku very early on. That was a word I learned very early on from Metal Gear Solid. Like I learned that word because I wasn't a big anime guy. Like now I'm past 6 months, the amount of anime I've consumed is ridiculous. is a lot of anime. But before that, I was not an anime guy for like a really really long time. Bonsai, okay, bonsai and kamikaze. Okay, sure. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. The thing is though, is like there's those words that don't have like they don't have like a term in another language. Like in English we still say rendezvous. Like, oh, let's rendezvous over here. Like kamikaze is one of those words because I learned that from Worms. I learned kamikaze from playing Worms Armageddon. So like that's where I learned what kamikaze meant. And then bonsai I learned from the tree. Right? So there's kind of those words there. Because I've always got that joke. I always like saying like like I like saying to a French person like, oh, how do you say rendezvous in French? Or I like saying like here in Spain, like I'm like, oh man, so like, how do you say quesadilla? Or like, how do you say piñata? Do you know what I mean? They're like, that's a Spanish word. I'm like, yeah, I don't think it is. Because in English, we say piñata. So for me, like, like bonsai and kamikaze, they almost come in that, like, that section of, like, kind of don't count. Yeah, no, look, Jerry, like, oh, you like the fursuit? It's a type of dog. We are a golden retriever over here. We got the paws, but we keep taking them on and off and on. We take them off and on. Da 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 da. What was I gonna say? Yeah, dude, Speed Racer. Speed Racer is like when Speed Racer came out, because that must have been their film after Matrix 3. I think. Because I think Speed Racer is 2007. Because I think it goes Matrix trilogy, then you get Speed Racer, then you get Cloud Atlas, then you get, which Cloud Atlas is also a banger. Cloud Atlas is also a banger. Then you get Jupiter Ascending, and then you get Matrix 4. I think that's the kind of timeline of that stuff. But Speed Racer, yeah, I think it's like 2007 maybe. Speed Racer is sick. It's a film that when it came out, it was completely critically panned. Like people did not like Speed Racer, the Wachowski Speed Racer movie, because it's really visually weird. It like people watch it and they go like 2008. Okay, 2008. I thought it was like 2007, 2008. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, because that makes sense because it was a movie that like when it came out on Blu-ray. It was one of those like first movies that like actually like it's like first releases like is on the Blu-ray. It's not like an old movie that's now coming out on Blu-ray. Yeah, so 2008 that makes total sense. But it was yeah, it was like so like people went like, oh, this movie looks fake and this movie looks like whatever, and it's like you've got to kind of give like movies, you've got to kind of like try and put yourself in perspective of like what if like this filmmaker actually intended. Did they intend Speed Racer to look realistic? No, of course they didn't. All right, so don't go in there with like other criticisms, right? But you've got to try and like give a read of what they're actually intending here. And like when you watch Speed Racer, it's really clear that the intention of Speed Racer is to take a 1980s anime and try and film that with cameras, right? That's clearly the intention of what's going on there. It's even so like it's got really crazy transitions, it's got like really crazy framing, it's really bright in a kind of like in the same way that like someone like Dick Tracy would be as well. It's like really garish and like fake and bright. And they even talk in a really weird way because like they're kind of talking like it's an 80s American dub of an anime. So you can not like it. You know what I mean? You can not like it and you can be like, this isn't for me. But to be like, oh, Speed Racer is so bad because they talk goofy and it doesn't look real is like saying I don't like water because it's wet. No. That's I've messed that up. I messed it up. Repeat. Rewind the tape. Okay. Saying that Speed Racer is bad because it looks fake. Yeah, it's because it looks fake and they talk all weird and unnatural is unfair. It's you can say you don't like it because of that, right? But it's not a failure because of that, because that's what it intended to do. That's what it intended to do. Yes, very similar to Spy Kids. Very similar to Spy Kids or like the other Robert Rodriguez one, like because that was his intention with Spy Kids, and that was his intention with Shark Boy and Lava Girl, was to make like a live action cartoon, but like, am I putting it too high on this pedestal? Speed Racer is like the high art version of it. It's like the high art version of it, which is like ridiculous. But very much the same thing. Like, that's the intention. You can say you don't like it, right? You can say you don't like it, but it's not a failure because of that, because that's clearly the intention of the piece. That's clearly the intention of the thing. And you might not like that, but it's definitely interesting and cool and exciting. You know what I mean? It might not be your cup of tea or whatever, but it's very much exciting. Pirates of the Caribbean is inspired by One Piece, and you cannot convince me otherwise. But you talk about Avian, are you talking about Pirates of the Caribbean: The Ride, which the Gore Verbinski film was a adaptation of? Are you talking about the original Disneyland ride in California? Is that what you're speaking of? But It does, yeah. Spy Kids. That's a very good comparison because that was also Robert Rodriguez's intention of that was to make a live action cartoon. He wanted to like that was also his intention there. So he was like, I want to film a cartoon with Antonio Banderas and these children, and oh, who plays the villain in it? He's a wonderful actor. Is it Alan Cummings? It's Alan Cummings, right? Isn't Scar the bad guy in Spy Kids? I think it's Alan Cummings, right? But like I wanna make this live action cartoon that I for kids as like a challenge, and I think you like really succeeded on that. I really succeeded. Yes, do all of that from Avian. Tub Gub Dragons, welcome back. We're in the wind down, just sitting around here and whatever. Yeah, Jerry, at the very least, you haven't seen anything like that before. Do you know what I mean? Like, you will be watching something that you haven't seen before. And that really excites me. And honestly, putting that back now, I put, like, Speed Racer on this list because I talk about how much I really like Better Man. And I think that movie is so incredible and amazing. And that movie just makes me cry just constantly as well. Better Man. I do put Speed Racer also in that lineage of like really intentional movies that has a really like unique and differing vision and way they've like executed and whatever, and it just creates this like crazy different theatrical experience of like Better Man was like that for me. Godzilla Minus One was like that for me. Like the genius of Godzilla Minus One. And actually a bunch of the recent Godzilla movies where they've made like a human drama. They've done like like an anti-war film. They've done like like a political satire. Some of the recent Godzilla movies have been crazy. I'm talking about the Japanese ones, right? Like Better Man, Godzilla Minus One, Mad Max Fury Road, Speed Racer. Like these are all kind of like all like kids who came out of the same like theater group together or something. Aeon Flux. I really liked because Aeon Flux was like an animation on MTV. It was like an animation on MTV, and then they made like the movie as well. I think the animations are really cool. I think the animations are really cool. The movie I can't remember. Honestly, the movie in my head kind of like blurs into all of those like 2000s like girl in leather sci-fi action movies. It kind of blurs into my mind with like Aeon Flux, the Underworld movies, the Resident Evil movies with Beckinsale in, Van Helsing kind of being like the male version of it. Like Van Helsing's like really in that same sort of like the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing really feels like Aeon Flux, Underworld, Resident Evil. I don't know what else I'm missing, but like that kind of feels like that in my mind. It kind of vibes in those. Yeah, but Hunger Games is a lot more like young adult though. Hunger Games is a lot more young adult, where it's like when like Undertale and like Van Helsing and Resident Evil, and what I think I remember of Aeon Flux was like a lot of that is kind of like, oh, it's kind of sexy. You know what I mean? Like, and Hunger Games isn't like that. Hunger Games is like, like the romance and the drama and the whatever, I think she was really good in those. I think Jennifer Lawrence was really good in those. One Piece was inspired by the Epic of Gilgamesh. Dude, when you see Gilgamesh, I just think of the Gilgamesh that they added into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which was like the goofiest thing ever. But when I replay that game, I will show that to you people, and I will clip that in perpetuity, and all that sort of thing, But yeah, I know I've seen Aeon Flux, but it kind of like merges into Blood Rain. I don't know, it kind of like merges into all that sort of stuff, but I can't specifically remember it. I've not played a lot of Roblox. I was playing the Sonic Speed Simulator on Roblox quite a bit to collect all like because you could get they put like loads of Sonic characters in it, and even like Sonic characters who just exist in like the comic book from IDW, which is also a fun comic book. Um, and I just want to like collect all the characters. So my Roblox experience kind of starts and ends with Sonic Speed Simulator. I put quite a lot of time into that. First book and second movie were entertaining. Everything else, yeah, no, the second movie. I think the second movie particularly was like the best one, wasn't it? Where it kind of like expands outwards a little bit, and then yeah, definitely kind of it fell into that cash grab trend of like splitting up things to kind of drag out as many installments as you could because they want the money. I mean, I understand it. I understand the reasoning. Doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean I like it, but I understand the reasoning for that sort of thing, of like why it happens. Unfortunately, though that said, you know, I cynically thought that about because I was cynical about everything about Wicked. I cynically thought about Wicked that it would be like that it was split into two parts for like money, and maybe it is. Okay, maybe it is, but it works. Like, I mean, we haven't seen part two yet. We haven't seen part two yet, but like part one definitely like works as like boom, like here's a movie, here's an experience, you know, whatever. It definitely does kind of work on at least on that standpoint. Oh yeah, guys, I wanted to. I had my date, didn't I? Of let me open up someone real quick, boys and girls. Let me open up some real quick. Boys and girls, and the theys and thems, and the theys and thems. Let me open up something real quick, so I can make my little announcement. Yeah, 26th. That's when I thought it was. 26th of February. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, dude, no, dude, I kind of think so too, Jerry. That's what I mean. I kind of think so too. Um, Honestly, I don't know a ton about the. I'd be really interested to see it. Um, I don't know a lot about the production. I don't know a lot about the production, so I kind of want to I kind of want to look into that. You've got the DVD, right? Does the DVD have like cool features? Unfortunately, a lot of stuff like doesn't really have it now, does it? Like a lot of like you look back on like those like Lord of the Rings DVDs or like the Star Wars DVDs with like these like feature length behind the scenes that showed you way more than they should. Um, I don't know if anybody's watched the you can find out like find clips of them on YouTube if you haven't seen them before. But the I'm aware of the sets from Wicked, and I think they're like amazing. I'm aware of the sets and stuff, but I don't know all the like behind the scenes lore and stuff. There's a 45-minute version. 45 minute 45 minute behind the scenes. That's sick. That's actually sick. Yeah, because like most stuff now you get like nothing. You know what I mean? You get absolutely nothing. And you know there's a part of me that still wants like more than that. But in this day and age, getting like a 45-minute like making of is like is pretty rare. Is pretty rare. Hopefully when the whole thing's done, they do like some like crazy big package where they can put like loads more stuff out. because it's a shame they don't put like, because a lot of those like making of stuff is where people like learn to love filmmaking and get interested in whatever. But I don't know if anybody's seen, because those Lord of the Rings sets, they put a crazy amount of stuff on. They give you like extra discs just like jammed with stuff. Um, in the making of the third Hobbit movie, they start talking about it just like so candidly. So candidly. It's crazy. You've got like the head of like the props department going like, yeah, like, you know, in Lord of the Rings, where we took all these photos of we prepared all the armor beforehand and we took these nice photos in front of everything. He was like, I'm making swords to be used on the day and I'm running to bring them to set. And Peter Jackson's there going like, yeah, we're trying to like every day, like on the third film, we're trying to film and we don't have a script yet. And it's like every day I'm having to put down the train track and drive the train across it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you've got the script supervisor like saying all this stuff and then she's laughing. It's like, can I talk about this? It is so candid. It's insane. Like they talk about how, because they literally shut down the production for that. Like there's a thing where it's the second unit and they're shooting some action scenes and somebody just like walks in the room and is just like, yeah, like New Line Cinema are shutting this down. We need like 6 more months to like write scripts and prep and stuff like that. And we're like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And like that is like oh, the iPad, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for telling me. That's what I need. I need people to tell me stuff. You tell me stuff and we take care of it. We take care of it. But yeah, like it's really rare to even just get like any behind the scenes. And when you do get it now, it's like very often just like a really like glossy kind of like EPK electronic press kit like promotion of the movie. And it's just like so interesting and so valuable to see like warts and all, like the production and craziness that goes into like making those things. It's like that stuff's just like so engaging and so whatever, at least for me in a big way. But I think we're gonna finish off here today on that note. I'm gonna no, dude, it's late. I'm not gonna go see Dogman today. Let me have a look at Dogman. I guess I need to eat. I'm not going to eat and see Dogman. It's probably not even on this late, is it? Because it's like it's for children. But it's for everyone, isn't it? But it's like, you know. Okay, so. I'm going to go get myself something to eat. I've still got that big kilogram of kimchi. Well, it's not a kilogram now. Because I ate a bunch of it yesterday. But I'm going to be having kimchi with every meal for a while, and that is a choice I want to make, and I'm happy about. Because I adore kimchi, and it makes me think of Korea, and I love it. And it's so healthy, and it's so nutritious, and it's all that sort of goodness. But anyway, I'm going to go off and eat. I'm going to go off to something to eat, and chill out for the rest of my reason. Not that this hasn't been chill. Not that this isn't chilling out, because this is totally chilling out as well. But I'm going to go out and have something to eat. And